On the 12th day of Christmas in Cyber-Wonderland, 12 walruses bobbing, 11 polar bears assembling, 10 worms a-squirming, 9 rabbits hopping, 8 films a-selling, 7 sheep of-shearing, 6 donuts glazing, 5 bicycles, 4 howling wolves, 3 camel, 2 lovely sloths, and a gazelle sing a new brand. Greetings, carrots! This is Mad Hatter Patrick. Well, because Disney keeps on releasing their new anime movie every Thanksgiving weekend, I'm getting tired of waiting to review them till past December. So I decided to include any future late November movies as part of my Winter Cyber-Wonderland celebration. So, without further ado, let's talk about Zootopia. Because we're at the stage of Disney making anime sequels from their 2010 movies, Zootopia is next on the list. The first Zootopia was surprisingly a groundbreaking Disney movie, receiving $1 billion at the box office, tons of awards including an Oscar, and appeared on many lists of the top best anime films of the 2010 decade. However, what made Zootopia a revolutionary film is that it took a major risk on making a powerful message to stop unfairness and discrimination. It's an anime movie that heavily aged like wine. And it's no surprise that I have no objection on going back to this animal civilization, admittedly with the first movie being my favorite anime movie from the last decade. So, are Nick and Judy ready to solve another case? Welcome to another episode of The Wonder Reviews. Let's celebrate Christmas, sort of, by watching a new Disney movie. Let's begin Winter Cyber-Wonderland with Zootopia 2. The sequel takes place at least a week after Nick and Judy solve the first movie's case. While Zootopia has become more inclusive, including at the police force, our favorite duo has not been doing a good job as buddy cops. As Zootopia begins its 100th anniversary, Judy seems to have a hunch that there's a snake lurking around the city. But according to Nick, reptiles had never set foot in Zootopia ever. Now Nick and Judy must catch the snake, prove their compatibility, while also learning the truth about reptiles and Gary's intentions. Okay, one of the things I definitely want to see in a Zootopia sequel is the introduction to other animals and expanding the world of Zootopia. And it did, where we're not only introduced to reptiles, but other mammals that didn't appear yet in the first movie. As for the world building, they actually give a lot of depth to Zootopia as a city, like the inner workings and how it was established. They even clarify why reptiles were not open to the public. There was an incident that happened a long time ago, and the animals believed that the reptiles were responsible for that crime. But much like its own predecessor, the sequel stays true to the franchise's commentary about fighting against unfairness and discrimination. They're not just learning the truth that reptiles are not always bad people, but it also connects the side plot between Nick and Judy's partnership. Although they successfully solved their first case involving the missing predators, some characters still question if that moment was just a coincidence. Yet Nick and Judy still need to settle their differences that they're both different in order to stay compatible. And the best thing about this compatibility is that the writers like to play around with Nick and Judy on whether or not they'll fall for each other. However, Zootopia's moral is not the only main factor why it's one of the best Disney movies. They also provide unlimited comedy to keep it both smart and funny. And once again, the humor is hilarious. It's filled with cartoony reactions, improv line deliveries, slapstick, and even some of the pop culture stuff are pretty memorable. And yes, we're still getting Disney Easter eggs. It's mostly been a common occurrence with these Disney movies. The only nitpick I would have of the sequel is that it almost resembles the first movie. But, I said almost. Some elements are too familiar, like another surprise twist ending from one character, and they even copy one element from Outbreaks of the Internet involving some printed gig getting destroyed later because friendship metaphor. That's the only criticism I can think of when watching the sequel. But the world of Zootopia, like how it worked and how it was created, makes the city feel like a designated character, like all the animals that lived there. Our favorite fox and rabbit are back on another case, and so is everyone else in the movie. But let me tell you, this sequel has a huge variety of characters, even more than the first movie. And it's not just the animals, they actually bring in a lot of celebrities like Patrick Warburton, Macaulay Culkin, Brenda Song, Yvette Nicole Brown, Andy Samberg, Danny Trejo, and lots more. Nick and Judy are the buddy cop duo who are on a mission to catch a snake, but the more they uncover the truth, the more they put themselves in danger. This results in the two of them coming up with different options. Judy wants to help every animal in Zootopia, including reptiles, but Nick wants to call out the case and lay low so that neither of them would get hurt. This is what I 100% believe they would do in a situation like this. Judy wants to help the reptiles just like she promised to help Zootopia itself when she chose to become a cop. Well, Nick doesn't want anything bad happen to Kara because she's his friend, and he doesn't want to feel lonesome again. Now with the snake, Gary the snake, well, he's surprisingly a three-dimensional character. He's trying to uncover the secrets behind the Linkling operation because they're the reason why everyone is afraid of reptiles, but mostly snakes. There was a tragic accident that targeted reptiles as the prime suspect, and the Linkling family are trying to colonize the reptiles' home to cover their tracks. If Gary can prove his innocence and what really happened, he can save his family and reptiles can come out from hiding. There's also Nibbles, the comic relief beaver who seems to have some knowledge and connection with the reptiles. She's not only helpful, but the jokes from her are funny. There are some characters that do return like Chief Bogo, Clawhauser, Weaselton, Mr. Big, Flash, and even Bellwether, and yes, their jokes are also hilarious. You know they had to throw Bellwether into a Silence of the Lamb gag somewhere. And then there's Winddancer, the new mayor of Zootopia, who's Patrick Warburton doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's obviously an accomplice to the Linkling clan where he sends the police force after Nick and Judy, but I was relieved they didn't copy his story arc from Lionheart, and again, he is an enjoyable Patrick Warburton doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger. As for the new Zootopia villains, I have some good news and bad news about them. The good news is that we do get some full-fledged villains, the Linkling family. They're like a Mafia X family, more powerful than Mr. Big because the patriarch, Milton, has full control of Zootopia due to the city's journal. But he has a dark secret on who really owns Zootopia. As a crime lord, he is interesting in concept, and he has a son named Hubbard, who's socially awkward and doesn't get along very well. The bad news though, we are still forced to include a twist villain. And this one isn't really warranted to begin with. I can't say that Bellwether was the best twist villain, nor a memorable Disney villain, but her role made a lot of sense involving the film's moral that there's no dominant species specifically, period. And you cannot use fear to scare both prey and predatory mammals to get everything that you want. That's why her twist works. The sequel twist is trying to overpower an already villain that doesn't need to be overpowered, so it should have gone to the same direction that Mayor Winddancer was going. Out of all the Disney realms ever crafted, the world of Zootopia is humongous. In the sequel, the animation continues to make the world massive for both the settings and characters. With the backgrounds, they fully embrace the grand scale of Zootopia, featuring multiple biomes for the animals to adapt to their respective habitats. While they did send us back to familiar places like the Tundra District, they did introduce new areas around it and new places we have yet to explore like the desert and Marsh Market. The latter in particular is depicted as a swampy marketplace where mammals and reptiles can coexist. And many of the natural elements like water, fire, and snow are convincing that the Zootopia characters are entering some weather and dangerous conditions. Since Zootopia is a place where all mammals and even reptiles are allowed to live there, the city contains a bunch of technologies that help the animals both big and small, like the water tubes or some of the small-sized meals. But of course, you can't have Zootopia without a huge variety of animals, and every last one of them is amazing. With the mammals, there's a lot more detail on the fur textures and introduce new mammals that didn't appear yet in the first movie, such as walruses, zebras, lynxes, goats, and more. While the reptiles have their scales that can peel off easily, and they also have big or small characters like lizards, snakes, tortoises, and a few others. But regardless of which animal you prefer, the character animation brings a lot of excitement to the movie. They display many different animal abilities for each of them, especially Gary's snake skills despite having no limbs. This, along with everyone else's character animation, make many of the action scenes and comedy slapstick fun to watch, from the car chases to the final showdown. In a strange feeling, the best part about the final showdown is what happens after that. I won't spoil anything, but we do get more interactions between Nick and Judy where they address their compatibility and mistakes in an understandable yet funny way. There's even a tear-jerking moment involving Gary's old home, and the animation really helps that Gary is an adorable snake like all the other reptiles a long time ago, making the mystery-solving case totally worth it. This sequel definitely tried everything, and I loved every minute of it. Zootopia 2 is definitely a breathtaking sequel that fully stays true to its own predecessor. It still has that clever social commentary, the humor helps balance the intelligence to become a funny comedy, the animation continues to present the world as a humongous animal environment, and it features a cast of memorable characters both old and new. This is definitely a must-watch for everyone, especially if you're a huge fan of the first movie. Now, does that automatically mean we're going to get another sequel from this because of box office and award seasons? My prediction is, if they're going to do it, I'm still down to it. With all the endless collection of animal species, I can see Zootopia having future potentials like Inside Out and The Incredibles. And I think it's a good time to mention is that the sequel director, Jared Bush, will become the new chief creative officer at Disney Animation Studios, while the predecessor and Frozen director, Jennifer Lee, will still be part of the Disney team to continue her work on Frozen 3 and 4. All I can say is, I wish both of them the best of luck on their future projects, whether original or even a sequel. It almost received a perfect score, but Zootopia still gets an A, and Nick and Judy are rewarded with the Diploma of Destiny. I'm Matt Harpatrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to listen to some Gazelle Christmas songs. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.